Okay, and we're live. So this is the poly inclusion. Generally on Instagram, there's a bigger presence, but we're spreading out to YouTube. So we're here doing another YouTube live video, and you can watch it later on if you want to. My name is Mark. We've got a little outline here. I am 34, and I am the only male on the admins on the page, and I'm gay and cisgendered, so he, him pronouns for me. I currently have two partners, and I am from Metro Detroit in Michigan. We had a little map we were looking at with each other, the admins, of like what time zones is everyone in, and it's real weird if you ever look that up because Michigan
Oh,
probably shouldn't be in the Eastern time zone, but it doesn't look like it from the map we looked at anyway.
yeah. Um, I'm Zanthia. I'm gonna look at this chat again too. I'm 23 and I'm bisexual. I use she, her pronouns, but gender is amorphous, and I try to keep like working my way out of it. But
Yeah.
definitely cisgender by the books. Um, and I have four partners, two primary partners, two long distance. Um, and I'm from Boston originally, but I live in Scotland right now.
That's a little bit farther away from Boston.
I think that's
I've never been to Scotland.
yeah. Okay, so it is well, it has been really nice lately, but now it's raining again, and it was raining for like 4 months of this entire year. And when it rains here, it's like death rain. It's like
Ooh,
you are literally so soaked and pelted by the ice, like the icy wind, that you just kind of want to curl up and die in the street.
yikes.
And that is the general feel of Scotland, if you wanted to know. But anyways, we're here to talk about coming out as polyamorous and how it's not necessarily the same, like in some ways not the same as coming out as like when you're bi or gay or a lesbian or trans, etc. um but I actually think you face a lot of similar reactions to being open about how you're practicing polyamory. Um and there's a couple questions we have here that's like, is it a constant coming out, or do you like, you just come out once and then you stop talking about it and you're like done? Or is it like, does it have to be public? Like, can you just practice polyamory and you don't have to come out at all and just be like, it's not a big deal, guys? Or does it need to be public? Like, is part of being polyamorous, like, I mean, even ethically need to be public? I don't know. There's a lot of interesting um, things I've thought about, especially in my own relationships.
Yeah. Yeah, I got the joys of coming out twice because I am gay. So in my early to mid 20s, I got to let everyone know, "Hey, I'm gay." And then in my early 30s, I got to tell everyone, "Oh, hello, also I have multiple partners now." Surprise. That's not for me it's not it seems like it will be never ending because not necessarily the gay part, because people will meet my partner or partners and they'll just happen to know, or I'll say my partner and people will assume now. I just said that to somebody today and just was like, okay, I didn't have to go further in explaining that my husband is a male or anything like that. um,
Mm-hmm.
so it feels like that. It feels like the LGBT for me coming out, QIA plus coming out, is just like that existed, and I did it with the people that I did it, and maybe sort of it's constant. Like I have to say one way or the other, but it doesn't, for me. It doesn't feel any more than like somebody who has to say this is my wife or this is my girlfriend. Like it sort of feels the same way for me, but poly feels like an entirely different thing. And for me, I don't tell people that I'm not close with, people that I don't care what they think. I just don't tell them unless it comes up, because they don't need to know unless they want to, and they can. I don't, it doesn't bother me. It's not a secret, but I don't offer it as information because people have a lot of opinions about it. I tend to find. But it's also
Yeah.
like you were saying, in the same way for for representation is important, it's also like, should I tell people? Because if they know that they know someone who's poly or non-monogamous, then maybe their opinions could change. It's like with I just am on like day 16 now after contracting COVID-19, and I chose to just tell everyone that I could that I got it because I see people walking around without masks all the time and not taking it seriously. So if people know that they know someone that has this thing that's killing people, they maybe will wear a mask when they go out. If somebody knows that someone in their life or someone they're close to is not monogamous, maybe they will keep their shitty comments to themselves, or they'll change the way that they think about certain things.
Or maybe they'll be like, hey, I really hate being monogamous and I want to be happy.
Yeah. Yeah, there wasn't options. I grew up religious. I was in religion for until my mid 20s, and that was not an option.
Totally.
Even
Like,
being gay
totally
was not an option, but even
completely
more
went.
than that, the religious
Exactly.
that I was not. You have one partner for the rest of your life, and that's what you get. It's like, oh, okay. So it didn't even strike me that that was possible until I happened to fall in love with a second person while I was married, and it's like, oh, what am I supposed to do now? Yeah.
Especially when, like, also coming out twice, being bisexual. Except when you're bisexual, you're, especially as a woman, I feel like your coming out period is more like, okay, I started puberty and all of my girl best friends still take their clothes off around me, and that's like exciting. and, and then you're like, oh no, I need to be respectful and like good and not be this teenager, and like, so then you start like guilting yourself, looking at your friends, and as a woman is a difficult coming out period. It says my
Yeah.
internet is connection is unstable. Am I okay?
So far.
Okay. My
Come on,
internet
Scotland.
here is um, so um yeah, so like when you finally hit that like oh, oh I'm bisexual, I'm not just a creepy pubescent teenager, can go to the next, what does that mean? Because I feel like when you know like, oh my god, being gay is an option, and then you hit the next phase of being like, wait, I can do more.
Yeah.
I can do more than this. Because like I think I lost my virginity to a girl at 16, and I didn't really understand what that was because no one told me that what lesbian sex was.
Yeah.
And then you're like, look, here I am having lesbian sex, and this doesn't count. This isn't real sex, you know. Um, sex is between a man and a woman. And I think that same kind of rhetoric is held with like legitimacy of monogamous relationships of
Yeah.
like, no, only real relationships are between two people. Like, and you're like, well, I feel like we're using like bad terminology, like commitment and legitimacy and like legality, all these terms get used to talk about monogamous relationships. And then when we want to try and talk about commitment between multiple people, everyone just loses their minds. And they're
Yeah.
like, no, commitment is this. And you're like, is it? So when I finally came out as like poly, I think I was I think I was 18, and I'm kind of the stereotypical bisexual slut, and I'm totally okay with calling myself that. I love being sexually promiscuous. I think it's super fun. I think everyone should have a healthy relationship with, you know, sex and be confident about it. It's not for everyone. I know that, but I have a lot of fun and I love it. And so I was always very promiscuous. And so by the time I was in my first like long committed monogamous straight relationship, and it sucked like a lot, and I hated it, and I cheated on him like twice, and I felt really bad about it, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I hate this. How do I? This sucks. And I broke up with him, And then I was like, okay, I got to figure out how I can be happy and do it while not feeling like a total piece of shit.
Yeah.
And so like the ethical slut book, there's also more than two blog that really like was like, hey, look, you can talk to people. Like you can talk to your partner and not feel terrified that they're going to hate you for saying that you have a crush on someone else.
Yeah.
You can talk to your partner and they'll love you just because you love them, you know, that kind of thing. So it was a lot of like re-educating. So I think I came out as a constant thing that year, like being 19 and being like, I'm blossoming as a promiscuous woman and I'm going to sleep with everyone and create a polycule. And that's what I did. um, yeah.
The hard thing with doing any topics, especially topics like this one, and even the one that we did, that Miso and I did last time, it's like there's so many options, and with non-monogamy, there's so many options, and none of them are wrong. Whichever one works for you is the one that's the correct one. There's not one thing that's right for everyone. Like with monogamy, you find someone and you marry, you're on this track, and that's what you do, and that's what everyone's supposed to do. But with non-monogamy, there's so many different options. If this works for you, then that works for you. And it doesn't work for everybody, and it doesn't have to because it's not designed to. You can make it what you want it to be, and what for you and your partners and polycule, what that is will be decided by you and your group. And like that's super, it's super freeing, but it also I can see the side where it's super like scary. There's no roadmap. Nobody's telling me what I have to or I'm supposed to do. So even with the questions that we were thinking of, like, is it should it be, or is it a constant coming out, or should it be public, or is it public? You have to tell everyone. You don't have to, or you can do it if whatever works for you. It's the same as what I tell people who are closeted and are LGBT, that if it's safe for you to do it, you might be in a situation where it's not, and you don't have to do it just because everyone else does. If it's not safe for you to do it, if you're going to lose your job because you're LGBT or because you're non-monogamous, weigh those options and decide what's the best for you. But that's one thing that's nice but also scary about ethical non-monogamy, that there's no roadmap of you have to do or you should do it this way. So it's freeing and it's scary at the same time.
Totally. And then there's also like there's a lot of difficult questions of being like, okay, my friends know that I'm poly and my friends know that I have multiple partners. But like what about my family? And that's a big like LGBTQ poly crossover coming out thing. Like, okay, my family finally has accepted I'm gay. Like, finally, we're here. Now I have another partner.
Yeah.
Okay. What do I do? And I think because I'm kind of a out there type of person, I was just like, yeah, fuck it. This is what's going on, and take it or leave it. But that's not for everyone. Also, that's definitely not safe for everyone. Slash, like they don't feel comfortable telling their family that kind of thing. Like they don't have that type of relationship. And I know that I've had partners in the past that are like, yeah, my family knows about you because you're like my primary, or you're like someone I'm more public with, but then they don't know about like Jacob or like this other person, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And that's a hard line. Like it's a hard
negotiable.
line to toe, because there is the side of, even with the LGBT community, of, well, you should come out because then representation is important, and people who, if they know that someone's gay and this and that, they might change their mind. But it's also up to you. You don't have to do that, and you don't have to do that for non-monogamy either. You can, but it's like, it's all, that part of it is your choice. You decide what happens. And sometimes people take that from you and they'll out you for LGBT or being non-monogamous. So that kind of sucks. That didn't happen to me in either case. I told everyone that I was gay. The people that I chose to tell, very few at first, and then just it wasn't a thing, and I told whoever, because 15 happened and marriage was legal in the U.S. But then for non-monogamy, I just tell whoever I feel like telling, and it just comes up as if it's not a thing. But it is a thing for some people, and some people, one of the things that we posted, we'll talk about a different time on our Instagram today, is the idea that similarity between LGBT and non-monogamy doesn't mean it's the same thing. So there is similarity in the coming out experiences. Like, you've got to tell people if you want to, or sometimes somebody will out you. But for me, the feeling wasn't the same of telling people that I'm gay and this is a thing that I can't change about myself. Whereas I could be with a partner and people can know that one partner, and maybe nobody has to know I'm not monogamous. So for me, there's options in the coming out. The difference between the two is nobody has to know I have more than one partner if I don't want them to, but it's fairly difficult for them not to know that I'm gay.
Yes. I feel like I'm kind of the opposite with like the gay poly thing. I feel like I tell fewer people that I'm bisexual versus poly because I feel really outspoken about polyamory and that representation. And being bisexual is something that I'm like, if you looked at me and said I was straight, I would feel offended.
Yeah.
Like if you're not picking up my gay vibes without me saying it, I don't, honey.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that for me when it comes to that. So I don't even address it most of the time.
Yeah, and that's hard because we were saying a little bit before related to that post that we'll talk about, but the bisexual community is not accepted or treated well by either the gay community or the heterosexual community. So it's like they're part of us, but it's like that Stonewall movie that they made where it was all white gay men. That was not who was throwing bricks at Stonewall. What are you doing? You're whitewashing and gay washing the entire community. It's very irritating. So I get where that poster's coming from, where like she's got a chip on her shoulder that the gay community put there, because we don't treat everyone, the B or the G, or no, not the G, the B, the L, or the T in the community the same way that we treat cis gay guys. And that's frustrating as well.
Or like cis lesbian women.
Yeah.
Like, and we know that there's definitely like there's a lot of history around that. And that every single space or every single community you enter is going to have issues of power structures that are difficult to get rid of.
Yeah.
Because, our exterior power structures in like the patriarchy and the capitalistic bullshit that we have to exist in is so masculine that we're like, look, let's put this everywhere. Let's just put this structure in everything. And then we get fucked. Yeah. And that's kind of something that happens with the poly community a lot, is because a lot of people who are practicing poly happen to be queer in different ways, or happen to be, just a slightly straight alternative with like BDSM kink world coming over. But we still get a lot of those problems of structure and people trying to use polyamory to control people or to create like just really selfish systems that surround like male pleasure, like the whole unicorn thing. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that is difficult to deal with. And yet more bisexuals getting treated badly.
Yeah. Everywhere you go.
But yeah, it's there's definitely some crossover there of being like, okay, there's a lot of structures that we need to take down. But something else I wanted to address. I was outed as poly in a shitty way at a wedding. And it was really awkward because when you take poly relationships out of context and put them in like monogamous places, like a wedding, for instance. Yeah. And so I was in a group of people, right, that I went to high school with. And one of them I graduated with, the others one were like seniors 2 years before we graduated. So there's some age difference, path difference. And this is a very Christian community. And I was talking to Brianna, my friend, and I said like, oh, me and my boyfriend, my primary partner at the time, are going to go do this together in a few weeks. And she was like, which one? And I was like, okay.
Oh, no. Jesus.
Where we are right now, it is not appropriate for me to challenge which boyfriend I'm talking about. And so that's definitely something that has happened to me with someone who didn't understand, like boundaries of
Yeah.
queer people and boundaries of poly people and being like, hey, that's not your information to tell.
Yeah. Yeah. People don't think before they say or do things to the detriment of us all.
Yeah, including ourselves sometimes
Yeah,
for sure.
definitely.
Uh, but it was definitely one of those situations where I was like, oh, I didn't think this could be used against me in a situation, but it has, and now it looks like I'm cheating. I'll really because the response of the other people in the conversation was, oh, do they know about each other?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
That's what I got a lot
uh,
of when I told and that I told my gay friends, and either they it to them because they don't the thing that the gay community knows about is open relationships, which is a part of non-monogamy if that's what you choose to do, if that's the style that you choose to use. So they know about open relationships, so they assumed that it was that, and a closed triad is not the same as an open relationship. But others were like the stereotypical thing of like jealous that why do you get two partners and I don't even get one? And like, well, I don't have the answer to that, but this is what my situation is. I'm not gonna like not have multiple partners because you don't have any. Like you still eat food and there's children starving in Africa. So these are the same similar kind of things. I can have more than one partner if that's what I choose, and you don't have any, and that sucks for you. But like those things are not related. Those are different things for different people here.
yeah. Like if you want more partners, there are communities where you can talk to people and meet people. And if you are seeking out, a certain like thing, just improve yourself and then go forth, you
Yeah.
know? But yeah, there's totally been those situations where people are like, well, is it wrong? I'm like, shit.
For some people it
But
is.
the real question,
Not me.
yeah, like they just don't know. Like they're like not, they're unsure of like, is this ethical? Like I can't, not sure.
Yeah. I like at least if they're questioning that part rather than, oh, this is wrong. You're just cheating. Well, you don't know anything about me, so that's not the case. Strange
Mm,
person that doesn't isn't part of my life. Thank you for your opinion though.
mm-hmm. Yep, for sure.
For me that coming out to the gay community was not necessarily surprising, but they didn't react well. It was like I said, they were like, "Oh, why do you get two partners? I only have one." More of a jealousy thing. And then to the heterosexual community, it's much more confusing because the people that I know non-monogamy really only in the way of like key parties from the 70s, and that's all that they know that non-monogamy is. And like, well, there can be sex, it doesn't have to be. There's aromantic and asexual people too. So, and non-monogamy polycules can include just close friends and stuff like that. So it's a lot more than a key party that you know about, but that could be part of it too. You never know.
Yeah. Like there are plenty of people who have like asexual romantic relationships. Like I have even had just romantic relationships with people that have been beautiful and wonderful. And like I think it's difficult for some people to be like, "Oh, I see you as such a hypersexual person." And that's true. Like I am, but that doesn't mean there isn't multiple like facets of me as a person that can find fulfillment in other facets of people, like
Yeah.
there's so much, it's so complex.
Yeah.
um
Yeah. It seems very simple to folks who aren't doing it, but when you have like I was telling Miso and I said last time that I like the phrase that you have unlimited, like in non-monogamy you have unlimited amounts of love but you don't have unlimited time. So a lot of what non-monogamy for me includes is scheduling and like who making sure everyone gets what they need from me and they get what they need from whoever else that they're with. It's like it's not as simple as you just have multiple partners and now you have all this extra. No, there's also extra responsibility and stuff that you have to do as part of that too.
yeah, and I think explaining that like during the coming out
Yeah.
period, like when you're like, hey, I'm poly and this is my boyfriend and this is my boyfriend and this is, you know, whoever. And they're like, well, how do you guys like hang out? Like, is it okay for this person to like see this person naked? Is it? And I'm like, what the fuck are these questions? Like,
Yeah.
slow down. Like, there's way more logistics that go into whatever the hell you just threw out there. And like, I made a meme about my boyfriends both responding to me. Like, I sent them a thing where I was like, oh, you're gonna have to pay for my nudes now that I'm doing this. And obviously that was a joke. And both said it in very different ways, but they both said like, why am I being punished? And I made a meme about it, and I sent it to a friend of mine, and my friend was like, I don't get it. Is it like, I don't get it. Is it like a sexual thing? And I was like, no, this is not a sexual, it's not.
That's where people's minds go for some reason, whether you come out as LGBTQIA or you come out as non-monogamy. I found also that people like immediately their minds go to sex, where if someone tells me this is my wife, I do not imagine them having sex or what happens in that scenario, or this is my monogamous partner. Like, that doesn't cross my mind. I'm not wondering what sex is like for you or what your schedule is like.
Right?
Or who you can see naked, because I assume it's just this one person.
I assume. Like, it gets me every time.
Yeah, it's funny and strange, and also at a wedding, inappropriate.
Very.
To out someone else. Miso may be joining us after all.
How do you use that rhetoric in your head and then say it to me and think it's appropriate to ask about like my sex life? Like, it'd be like me asking you like after your wedding day, like on the wedding reception, like, you know, how hairy are your husband's balls?
Yeah.
Like, I want to know. You know,
yeah.
it makes no sense.
Mm-mm.
Why would I ask that? I don't want to.
Yeah, it's true.
So, geez, boundaries here.
Yeah. Yeah, people don't understand or like boundaries. We like to have our own boundaries, but protecting or knowing someone else's, even with the coming out process, has sometimes been non-existent.
Oh yeah, like none.
Yeah. Miso said she may be joining us, but that was 8 minutes ago.
Well.
So it seems like maybe not.
Yeah, it seems like we might not see her at all.
But maybe tomorrow on the next episode, possibly tomorrow, we're trying to talk about our post from today, the 12th of May. So, which we've talked about a little bit, but not as in depth as we will, about LGBTQIA+ and ethical non-monogamy. So go ahead and comment on our Instagram all your thoughts, because that's what it's there for, and also plenty of people already are, so you can join the discussion.
Yes, join the discussion where we constantly fire off lots of emojis to tell people who is replying to them.
Some of us do.
Whoops.
That's hard to remember. Especially we have an admin chat, and that's hard to remember to do it in there too. At one point, it was just like everyone was typing from the admin account, so we had to do our emojis because no one would know that it was just poly inclusion was all that it said. But now we use our individual one, so it's a little easier.
Oh, it's so much easier, but I just get spammed by Elena, and I'm like, Elena, please.
Yeah. Luckily, I don't get notifications from Instagram. I just go and look at it when I look at it, because I'll get so many in like the middle of the night. Because Elena's a night owl.
Yeah.
Oh, so I was surprised she was up early today.
She was having drama this morning, and I think that's why she was up early.
Drama? Speaking of drama, that's what coming out can be. So enjoy that, everyone. If you choose to. Okay. Well, I don't know. It does not seem like Miso will join us today.
Okay,
Since we're now at the end. So join us on all the things. I don't think that I don't like to tell people to like and subscribe. Do that if you want, but we'll post it on our Instagram too right before we go live, and you can see that or watch it later because it'll be up there. Okay.
Come fight with us in the DMs.
Yeah. Yeah, fight in the DMs, post your comments, and then don't post 50 comments on the pictures because other people might want to say something. But you can fight with us in the DMs for sure. That is always welcome.
Oh yeah, for sure.